All right, we're going to open the public hearing on the flexible development plan for 99 Concord Road. Go ahead.
Okay, so this is the plan that we would hope to build something close to this. It also shows 3 lots, and they're all roughly the same size as in the previous plan. But it's the same 5 acres. So what we think this plan accomplishes from the perspective of the planning board, as well as the abutters and the neighbors and people who travel Concord Road on a regular basis, is the following. First of all, we've obviously eliminated this road coming in opposite Concord Road, and this dark green area represents, in planning board jargon, what would be inside or outside the limit of developable area, meaning that essentially nothing can happen in there. That whole area will be preserved as green space, open space. The existing trees that are there will remain, and most significantly, this large ledge knoll that I pointed out when I first began my discussion on the density proof plan will remain, and it won't be in the excavation there. So really we'll have a large buffer off of Concord Road through that whole area. The 3 existing curb cuts that I spoke of earlier, here, and here, would be utilized for the driveway access to each one of these homes, so that there'd be no additional alteration on Concord Road of either stone walls or tree removal along the frontage. This is another area that would be preserved. Basically, I think there's a large stand of pines in here that would be preserved in its entirety. And then this also represents buffer that would be maintained around the perimeter of the property, again, to screen what's going on inside the 3-lot development from, I'm sorry about blocking you guys.
Sorry.
We can actually see.
Oh, you can? That's cool. Sanderson's pretty good. It has reach. The houses that I show here, they're basically placeholders. They're not final architectural houses. But on the other hand, these are houses that are consistent with what I see as an engineer built in the town of Weston. So they're not, we're not downsizing them to make it look pretty on this plan. These are all, 8,000 to 9,000 square foot houses with 3-car garages and somewhat of a parking court. So that's pretty standard in terms of what I see going through what the planning board for site plan review. So we've tried to lay out a realistic program for what the houses will look like. Each of the lots has a septic system location that's consistent with a 6-bedroom septic design, which I think is probably appropriate for this lot, these lots. The grading on these driveways goes in areas where the topography is actually pretty reasonable, so there won't be extensive cutting and filling work to get these driveways in. I think the plan that we have on this board is actually going to be the 4th plan I showed, but John didn't really have my sequence right. But when I was at the site walk, Al, and board members, one thing I heard was that the buffer that I had shown along here was maybe a little bit thin. So this plan actually represents me bringing that out an additional 25 feet in that area to thicken the buffer along the Western Forest and Trail walk, and it actually comes here too. If maybe you can just, John, if you could pop that other one up there just quickly. Maybe it's not there.
Yeah, I think it's on the way.
I have it on a board.
Why don't you start there, and I'll catch up.
So this one was actually the plan that I presented at the sidewalk. It had a fairly thin strip here, and then it widened out a little bit, and then it widened in the back. What I've actually done on a revised plan, based on the feedback I got at the sidewalk, was we've actually lengthened this thickness through here and through here as well. So I've tried to beef up that green area The other thing I would say for the benefit of all you folks who've been kind enough to come out tonight is that if the planning board ultimately got to the point where they approved this plan, each one of these individual lots would have an additional hearing for what's called a scenic road hearing or a RGFA hearing, meaning that the actual development on the site, how the houses are placed, where the septic system is, how many trees are cut, what type of landscaping went in, what type of lighting goes on, that'll all be reviewed in extensive detail at a hearing before the planning board, and everyone will be invited to that as well. So the plan that we're presenting tonight is actually the plan used to create the lots and establish the limited developable area and the green buffers. But typically what happens is those green buffers will probably grow when we get through site plan review, and the planning board goes on the sidewalk and says, you know, we want to save this tree, we want to save that tree. But this would be a starting point for how that planning process would go. So that's basically it.
Okay, thanks, Rob. Dave, you've had a chance to review the plan?
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a blank slate. This is almost three A&R lots. I mean, really, two of them are A&R lots, I think, and the other one isn't. You know, there's a lot you can do with it. I'm just looking at it, you know, that back lot, the second one, you know, what if that driveway came off the north from Marion Street and the one closest to Marion Street came off the middle, right? Then, you know, maybe you can screen a little bit. No, then you're snaking a driveway by the road instead of having a driveway there. But, I mean, it's one of those things, there's so many permutations I didn't have.
Yeah.
And, you know, just to respond to Dave through the board, I did look at, before I developed this plan, the possibility of like a common drive for two of the lots as opposed to the individual drive, but I looked at really bringing in, say, a driveway to the middle lot off the northerly lot and tried to bring it down there. But it then pushes that house further back, which pushes the septic system back, and it really squeezes what you can do on that lot. You end up with that driveway going right across the front of the house. And I, you know, on top of that, just from someone who deals with people in these houses a lot, you know, driveways become a great point of contention in terms of.
Yeah, I mean, I almost think is what if you switch the second and third driveways? Like the second driveway,
Goes to the back, and
the top driveway goes to the back, and the
Yeah.
middle driveway goes to the one
Yeah.
there.
yeah, that's certainly something that.
But I guess for like this phase, as opposed to this plan, would be, you know, kind of dial it back to the basics a little bit. Like, what are the key points that we want to protect?
Right.
I don't want to just assume it's all Marion Village, because it's actually the back of Marion Village, and they have like a decent buffer. So, I think, you know, you could do something like this easily. You could do, there's too many things. It doesn't even have wetlands.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of flexibility possible in this plan, no question about it. There's a lot for us to work with in site plan review. a lot of possibilities for mitigating the impacts of the houses. It looks pretty good to me. I think I can justify the waivers too by the preservation of that knoll in the front really will screen those houses in the back from the street. It's going to be real hard to even see them from the street.
Especially as fast as they drive on Concord.
Yeah, it's true. So,
Plus, to save the big mature maple and other large, huge wonderful trees that are on the top of that, was really a nice thing.
right. Tim, do you have any reactions at this point?
It
It's
looks
still
fine.
sort of
Yeah.
diagrammatic right now. Okay.
I guess I would want to reduce the limit of work area or increase the buffer, because there's a lot of white space there. And at some point, I would also like to define, as we've done with other flexible divisions, pretty much where the houses will go, some sort of buildable envelope. Unless we decide that wasn't necessary. Flexible, we don't.
So many possibilities on this site, I hate to nail them down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But I do think that there's way too much development right now.
Okay.
It's bigger.
Well, I think also one of the things you're
Buffers.
seeing is that there are no buffers between the houses, between the three houses, which obviously we
Right.
put in. The size and expense of the houses that are going in there, they're going to be significant between each houses. So, and that's just sort of missing on this
That's gonna
basic
be-
plan.
Right, and
Yeah.
there's no question about Sue's point in terms of what will go in the buffers, but I guess my past experience on these flexible subdivision plans is at this stage, we kind of worried about the perimeter as opposed to what
Yeah,
was going on
inside.
inside it.
What is the scale on the north side of the buffer that you beefed up a little bit?
From 15 feet to 35 feet, and then to 45 feet.
Great start.
Yeah.
Very sensible.
But it's sensible, it's also sensitive. I mean, the curb cuts themselves are existing, so
Right.
utilizing the curb cuts, but the knoll was a great feature to save, for sure.
Anybody in the audience have any comments? Yes, sir.
Andrew Chase, Marion Street. The middle driveway seems to be in an extremely dangerous spot considering the intersection there of Marion Street and Concord. It seems as though somebody trying to exit that driveway and take a left-hand turn is not only going to have to contend with the people coming from Marion Street down towards Concord, but also the people going extremely fast, they're going around the corner from Concord onto Marion. Somebody will get clipped at that intersection. I don't know if there's a better place to locate the driveway, but farther down Marion Street or closer south on Concord would be an option.
I think it's a question of sight lines.
Yeah, you can't see left.
Can't see
You're
over
not
there.
gonna take a left-hand turn without having a serious problem.
And I know when they laid this out, they were really concerned about, there's big like copse of trees up there, so they were actually trying to preserve these big buffers. But I also think you're absolutely right too.
And curb cuts that are already there were probably cut prior to when that stone wall was built, all those trees that are, well-grown. So it's, to take a left-hand turn out of that driveway, whomever owns the property will have trouble, I believe.
Not that we don't have trouble throughout town trying to get out of our driveways.
You're right.
You edge out, you hope for the best.
Yeah. Somebody else raised their hand? Yes.
The elevation of the middle,
The elevation
what is it?
above, you mean the actual datum elevation or a height above what?
Height above the road.
The road is, let's see, it's basically down at around,
168 or so.
yeah, and that 166 to 168, the top of that knoll is about 182. So it's 15 feet, about 14 to 15 feet.
Yes, somebody else in there, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
White Tannenberg, 115 Meadowbrook Road. For my part, and I guess I'm interested is because of my connection with Marion Village. I think under the circumstances that it would be appropriate if we had a definite commitment from Northland that their 40B plan would be definitely abandoned prior to this being.
Prior to it being approved. I don't think we can condition that.
Well, in connection with the approval, one condition would be that they actually abandon the plan before you can
But that wouldn't be prior.
I will accept that, Mr. Wright. I will accept that.
What you want them to do is say, if we sign
we-
off
if
on the
we sign
flexible
off on the
subdivision,
plan-
that's what's gonna get done.
Correct.
He's already said that, so I
Well-
just want that in writing.
In writing, definitely.
Okay, all right. He's nodding his head, so I don't think there's a problem. Anyone else? Yeah, no? Yes.
Curious, what changed since the beginning of the 40B project? The land's still the same.
What changed was two things. We listened to the feedback that we got from the planning board, the selectmen, and the community relative to the 40B. Most notably, there was concerns articulated about its visibility from Concord Road and the character of Concord Road, and that the density and the closeness of housing, of active adult housing, condominium housing that close to Concord Road was out of keeping.
Mr. Jack, the change too was, when Jack came to me, he had told me that he engaged a previous consultant and told him that we can only do 2 lots on this property. And that's when I took a closer look and decided to, really look at it to see if that was the case. And I advised Jack that I thought 3 lots was feasible, so that'd be a big difference in his performance.
Correct. Keep going, but I'll stop talking there.
Okay. Yes.
Christopher Scott, 90 Concord Road. I'll just re-raise what I raised in the density determination hearing, namely lack of ownership by Northland, pursuing this for an ulterior motive, safety at the intersection caused by the middle driveway in the flexible plan, and also I would request that there be a drainage study done before any approval.
Okay. Anybody else? Yes.
Susan Haber, 15 Bradle Road. Dave and I were just talking, and I wondered if maybe Rob could take another look at pushing that middle driveway towards the north. It is at a slightly hairy intersection.
Well, we definitely could. Again, my thought of putting it there was it was a curb cut.
Right.
Understand.
The board would have to understand is that,
But there's a trade-off, if the safety is an issue there that's worth
it
looking at.
would move into that green area up above, but then that would get closed.
Right.
The other thing that occurred to me is going
Right
the other
here.
way.
Yeah, that's what
Right
Steve
there.
was saying, is bringing it down to the south.
Yeah,
Because that's pretty much open down there.
well, that would be the safer spot, right? Because when you're driving up Concord Road, you see that.
Straight shot.
The sight lines are better. It's really kind of, as you zip around, not that I zip, I drive slowly. Marion.
No, we certainly can look at that driveway, both in terms of moving it north or south.
Have a comment?
Yeah.
I think what, I don't
Could
know.
you identify yourself?
Sorry, Diana Chaplin, 26 Love Lane. I don't know exactly what was meant by that beautiful green buffer as you come into this area, but if you put the driveway there, it's kind of, as you're coming in from Concord Road, you see it more. So I don't know if that's why you thought of keeping it so big and buffery there, but it's kind of nice as you're driving from Concord Road.
Again, I was just trying not to alter any more stone walls on the street, so.
Right. But it's worth looking at.
Yep.
Because the traffic does sort of
Yeah,
get area there.
and bringing it on the south side of that note may work. To get to that house location.
It's worth looking at.
So I can look at that.
Anybody else? In that case, we'll continue this one to October 7th at what time, Jeff? 9:30?
Yeah.
Wait, can I jump in on that? Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much time we're gonna spend on the density proof, but I can't talk about it for a half hour.
All right, then 9:15.
But, like, I would say, we do like 9:05. I mean, we're just gonna open the density proof and kind of.
Gotcha. Yeah, okay, 9:05, Jeff.
Thank you.
I don't want to torture you. Good. Thank you.
You're welcome. See if I can get my
You might get this so big, we don't take pictures
Do you need I'm
That's Will. Honestly, that's all.
Sure, if you need it.
I think pretty much all, but bigger than that now. Yeah, like basically.
That's why I read this.
I was saying they're so old, I don't think they pictures the big one.
Huh? Well, I'm sorry, yeah. But
Although we couldn't get to the same. No, but like, I mean, I was tall. Yeah.
Be here.